Yes, sir. What is going on, y'all? And welcome to episode 2 of Koob's Corner. And I know on yesterday's episode I said I didn't know what I was going to call this thing just yet, but my good friend Brendan Malinowski hit me with a text last night after watching my stuff and said, "Hey, why don't you call it Koob's Corner?" And I said, "You're absolutely right." And I stole that thing and I'm running with it, but I am giving him credit. So shout out to Mr. Brandon Malinowski for the idea. So as of right now, Koob's Corner is what we're going to call this thing, and that's how we are going to rock it out as of right now. So moving along here, happy February 22nd, 2020, episode 2 to Koob's Corner. We're going to rock this thing out and get it going right now. And first thing I want to talk about, a quote from the book titled How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this book I read probably a year and a half ago now, talking about public speaking and relating to people and things along those lines. And again, one of those books where I feel like I could have highlighted the whole thing and got a lot out of it. But I was skimming through my notes from the previous couple years today, and I came along a couple excerpts from this book that I wanted to share today that really spoke to me. And the first one is this, coming from page 88 of How to Win Friends and Influence People. It says, to be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that other persons will enjoy answering. One more time. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that other people will enjoy answering. And I think that's really cool because when you think about interesting people, people that you gravitate towards, people that you want to be around, that we would quote unquote call interesting, it's always the curious people, right? It's always the unique, the original people who we seem to kind of want to hang out with. And why is that? Is it the people that think they have it all figured out? It's my way or the highway, some prideful, egotistical, overconfident kind of mantra? Or is there a humbleness about them? Is there a comfortness or comfortable nature about them? And I would argue it's the latter, because those people are interesting because they are interested in more knowledge and more wisdom and more learning. And that's really cool. And it kind of brings me to a second point that I firmly believe: when you think about your friends and your really true friends, the people that you love being around, or not even your friends, but just people in general, the people that you're most comfortable being around always seem to be the people that are most comfortable with themselves. So let's think about that real quick. If I'm not comfortable with myself, how can I expect anybody else around me to be comfortable with me? If me, myself, and I can't sit here with my own thoughts and be still and be comfortable with me, how can I expect others to do the same? But if we are comfortable with ourselves, it has to start there. Truly comfortable, genuinely comfortable with who I am, and not because I'm happy with myself all the time or because I'm perfect, but because I understand that I'm open-minded. I'm not perfect. I'm seeking other things out, but I'm also confident at the same time, critical but confident in myself. I think a lot more people are going to come around you as a result of being humble and open-minded and things like that, because you are comfortable with having an understanding that you don't have it all figured out. So again, if you want to be interesting, be interested. And if you want others to be comfortable around you, be comfortable with yourself first. And that takes challenge, that takes perspective, that takes a whole wide array of things. But the first steps in kind of becoming more comfortable with ourselves and finding out about ourselves is challenging ourselves and thinking about ourselves and taking time to do those things in the front end. So that one really spoke to me because that's something I kind of prayed on this morning and thought about as I started my day. So I thought it was pretty ironic that that came up in that passage today. And the second thing is this, coming from the same book, page 120. And this quote says this: our first reaction, first one, to most of the statements which we hear from other people is an evaluation or a judgment rather than an understanding of it. Really interesting. And we've all been there, right? We probably all do it every single day, whether it's, again, with ourselves or other people. You hear people talk and it's like, I like that or I don't like it, versus, okay, I can understand that perspective, or maybe I don't understand it. Could you speak on that more? Or things along those lines. And I think if we want to connect more with people, we want to come to a better sense of understanding or empathy or whatever, Of course, yes, judgment is going to be at the forefront. It's kind of human nature to judge. We like it, we don't, because that's kind of our primal state. If I don't like it, I got to get away from it. Or if I do, I'm going to kind of run towards it, whatever. That's human nature. But we don't kind of live in that primal state anymore. We don't really have to live like that. So we have to rewire ourselves to kind of get out of that judgment first, evaluation first mindset and rewire it to an understanding mindset instead. And is that an easy task? Hell no. Of course it's not, because again, we're wired like that. Do you know how hard it is to rewire something? Really freaking hard. But if we can do so, I think we find better connections with people. We can advance further as a human race, or friends, or coworkers, or whatever, as a result of that being at the forefront of our thinking during a conversation than judgment or evaluation. So really interesting there. Again, something that I kind of thought about this morning. So when I saw that thing, I gravitated towards it pretty heavily. And moving on, there's two more, and I got to find them here. Let me find them real quick here. It was this. I was talking about praise and praise versus thank yous. And it says when praise is specific, it comes across as sincere. So instead of just saying, oh, great job. Okay, I appreciate that, but great job for what? Great job for walking in this door. Great job for closing the door, sitting down properly, shaking your hand for what? Okay, or versus, hey, Sally, Jimmy, great job at that presentation today. You did a phenomenal job at articulating your words. You were specific. You made great eye contact. Boom. That is sincerity. And that is praise that people are going to hold on to and take as genuine versus, hey, great job. Okay, well, why? Tell me. I can't. Well, okay. Then you just lost trust in that situation because you came with that fake praise or that fake gratitude. Don't come around with that. Be specific and be sincere. And if you don't mean it, don't say it. It's all good. It's all good. But be specific with your praise. I thought was really powerful. And not only do I think being specific in that praise can kind of gain trust or whatever, but it also shows the other person that you were listening. And again, the best leaders are the best listeners. My boy Benny Fowler says that all the time. If you can listen well, you will lead a lot better. And when you do listen, you can be more specific in that praise. Trust is developed. And there we go. So that's kind of the third thing there. And then lastly, before I wrap it up for today, again, come from the same book, How to Win Friends and Inspire People or Influence People. Page 291. Very simple one here. It says, leadership gravitates to the person who can talk. Leadership gravitates to the person who can talk. So does that mean the only way I can lead is by talking? Of course not. There's people who walk the walk, they talk the talk. There's people who can walk the talk and talk the walk, whatever, they can do both. But if you can articulate your words, you can speak well, you can communicate well through this stuff, that's changing the game. Of course, you can be a leader by acting right, doing right, all that stuff. But if you can combine those actions and everything like that with your words, home run, again, we are off and running. So if you're someone who struggles to communicate well, maybe talk well, kind of get the thoughts out of your head, because I know sometimes I get ahead of myself. My thoughts are going like this, and my words are going like this, and I stutter, or I mumble my words, or whatever. That's something that I'm working on. No question about that, especially when it comes to my podcast. Like I'm going here, but the words are only coming out here, right? So I get ahead of myself or whatnot, and I laugh at myself sometimes, and whatever, I digress. But leadership gravitates to the person who can talk. So if you're someone that struggles with that or doesn't struggle with that, maybe that's your strength, good. Keep rocking with that thing, because that's going to go a long way. So those are the 4 things I have today. Again, come from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Really good one right there. Very straightforward, very simple to read, but I think a lot of good stuff comes out of that one there too. So besides that, hope you all have a great Saturday evening, February 22nd, 2020.